Greetings to all of my subscribers. This video I'm going to be talking about a few topics. Revelation, Phoeníx, 2012 London Olympics and the Paris Olympics. But I'm going to begin with Usher, who was standing on a clock during his Super Bowl performance, with the long hand pointing to 7, the short hand pointing to 12. Now the thing is Usher has a song titled Nice and Slow. And in the lyrics he says, "It's 7 o'clock on the dot, I'm in my drop top cruising the streets, blah blah blah, totally not my style." But nonetheless, I couldn't help myself, so I decided to take a look at some dates. Now, I noticed a few people talking about this clock, and he's standing on this clock and it points to 7. And he does start singing this song of his straight after that. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no significance there, because a lot of these rituals are coded, so it's to confuse people and make people think, it's got nothing to do with anything, it's just the song, blah, blah, blah. So what I did was I wanted to have a look at dates relating to 7 and 12 and things of that nature. So I looked at July 12th, which is 12/7. Okay, because July is the 7th month and the day of July being the 12th, which was like the time on the Usher clock. And July 12th is just 2 weeks before the Paris Olympics begins. And it's also the 28th Friday and the 28th week of 2024. From that time, there's 72 days left till fall, right? So on a side note, 28 will be mentioned again in this video, and 2012, we'll speak about 2012. Now 2012 plus 28 is 2040, the Phoeníx event, and this year plus 28 years brings us to 2052, the dark side of light, and we know that in between those years is 2046. So by adding 72 days to July 12th, we land at the autumn equinox, okay, 22nd of September 2024, which is, I found, pretty interesting. So I decided to use 72 going forwards and backwards, and I tried to think of different variations of 12 and 7. February the 12th, okay, is the 7th Monday and 7th week of 2024. So the 12th day of the 7th week of 2024, 12/7. So I added 72 days to February 12th, okay, and that brought me out to Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. Which is a date I found after looking into Trump's Operation Warp Speed, where Trump had announced Operation Warp Speed on May 15, 2020. And in that video, I added 1,440 days to that date, and it brought me out to the 24th of April, 2024. So it's the second time I've landed on that date. The thing is could the time on the clock be alluding to something completely different, such as Revelation? And Revelation 12/7, and it reads that there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Okay, so it had me thinking about the 7 seals of Revelation. There are 7 seals of Revelation, and 7 times 4 equals 28. 2012, as I said earlier on, plus 28 years is 20. It brings us to 2040. And God created the earth in 7 days, and there are 4 corners of the earth: north, south, east, and west. And we know about the occult ritual during the 2012 London Olympics. And what I found relating to number 28 and the Olympics kind of blew my mind. I just was interested in this idea of looking at 12 and 7 in different ways. So over 20 years, 5 seals of Revelation should be broken if the 6th seal is indeed 2040. And 20 divided by 5 is 4 as well. And the Olympic calendar did not calculate dates in the modern sense, as it does not count days nor months, but only years. And the most common way to break up the years was the 4-year cycles of the Olympic Games, called the Olympiads. 360 times 4 is 1,440. Now this 365.25 days in a year just confuses things. We have leap years, we have all this crap going on, and it's hard to, sort of count things that way, and it's just stupid, really. But anyway, another thing I want to add here is during the worldwide thingamajig, where everybody experienced being trapped at home and all that. I had a dream where I saw nurses in white scrubs, and all of them had the CFR logo on their scrubs. And the CFR logo is of a naked rider on a white horse. On the CFR logo below the naked rider on the white horse is a motto, an inscription in Latin. And the meaning of the inscription, which is written in Latin, means everywhere, or we are everywhere. And I guess it's the root word of ubiquitous, which is present, appearing, or found everywhere. Well, it's at least related to that word. That's quite simple. You can see that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the 2012 London Olympics and the opening ceremony. And this is what spun me out. Okay, now does anyone know who actually directed the 2012 opening ceremony? Because I surely had no idea before I started putting all of this together. And to be honest, I was looking into this for a couple of days, and it was staring me right in the face, but I still didn't see it. And I couldn't get the movie franchise 28 Days Later out of my head. And I didn't know why, apart from the fact that I was, looking at the number 28. But that movie and there's 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, I think it is. I couldn't find a way to connect it to the 2012 Olympics, but I knew there was a connection there, and it just kept bugging me. So who directed the 2012 opening ceremony? Well, this was Danny Boyle. Director Danny Boyle. He gave significant emphasis to the London 2012 theme, Inspire a Generation, and devised a program relying heavily on children and young people and built around themes that would relate to the young, is what's been said. And the interesting thing is, if you take that number 72 again and subtract 72 days from the start of the Paris Olympics coming up now, that's 26th of July. So you take 72 days away from 26th of July and you land on the 15th of May 2024. Now I'm going to talk about the movie 28 Days Later, which was released on September 4th, 2002. 28 Days Later is a British apocalyptic horror film, and it's basically about an accidental release of a highly contagious aggression-inducing virus, which has caused the breakdown of society. And this guy, he's a bicycle courier who awakens from a coma to discover he's in this nightmare. Okay, and then the next one that was released was in 2007 on May 11, and that was called 28 Weeks Later. And now I was looking in to see if they were going to be releasing 28 Years Later film, and it turns out they are. It says here that 28 Years Later does not have an official release date, but it will likely be announced in the future. In January 2024, the creators confirmed the development of the highly anticipated sequel to the iconic zombie films 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, titled 28 Years Later. And I mean, I just find it interesting that, they made this original film in 2002, okay, and then in 5 years later, 2007, they make the next one, and then they wait all this time to 2024 to make the next one. But the interesting thing about those films is that the director is Danny Boyle, okay? The same guy who directed the 2012 London Olympics opening ceremony. So, when I found that, I was like, that's why it just kept coming back to me constantly, and I couldn't get rid of this 28 Days Later thing out of my head. So there it is. That guy's a weirdo. I mean, the movies are crazy, but, the fact that he directed the whole thing, the ceremony, the 2012 opening ceremony, I mean, yeah. So that just spun me out. I couldn't believe that here I was looking at this stuff, and I started off with this Usher fella. These are just dates that I was messing around with, and it led me down this trail, finding out about this guy who directed the opening ceremony in London, and I wasn't even looking for that. So anyway, just found that really interesting. And just before I end this, in relation to the last video I made relating to the Super Bowl, I did see a bit of a alchemical marriage theme going on there with Usher and Alicia Keys, but it was kind of like it was inverted. So yeah, that was interesting that he was wearing white and she was wearing red. It was like the marriage between the white queen and the red king reversed, which kind of in a way could be mocking the ABC D E F G thingamajig going on. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you all have a great night, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the realm, and hope to catch you on the next one. See you later.